So before I start, do you have any questions you want to ask?
I've been covering my sink with foil all the time. And I was told recently that for stainless steel sink, the foil is not required.
Kosher and we cover. Absolutely. 100%. It's like our counters. We kosher our counters and we cover our counters. We kosher them and we cover them. Because Pesach, we are terrified of chametz. We're terrified. Just like Parsha Zachar, we truly hate Amalek. We're not supposed to hate. No, we're supposed to hate Amalek. So we're not supposed to be fearful. No, we're supposed to be terrified of chametz. We're terrified of chametz. And that's why when we're taking a kitchen where we have the most opportunity for chametz, and we're using the same kitchen for Pesach, for Passover, and we're using hot thing because we cook, we're even more terrified. It's the scariest room in the house. So yes, we kosher everything. And yes, stainless steel, we can kosher, 100%. And then we cover it. And most people actually have not just foil, they actually have inserts that they put in their sink that everything is going through that insert on Pesach. Absolutely, 100%.
What do you mean insert?
You could buy in like a Jewish store. It's like a plastic, like a hard plastic, not a soft plastic basin. Some are more elaborate, some are more simple, but it basically has a drain and a basin. And you put it in your sink. And you usually put, you don't want it to sit really flush on your sink. It usually is like a little bit above the sink. It's usually like resting on the sides of the sink and it's sort of in the thing. So it's much more than a piece of foil because foil could rip, foil could this, foil could that. It's literally a in-sink insert that everything, all your Passover things are going through that insert, not through your sink directly. And then from the insert into your sink.
I have, it just happened, the design of my sink, that it has like somewhere like 2/3 on the bottom. It has like a pole, I don't know, like carved for not like shelf, or I don't know how you call it.
So you're saying the insert could rest on that?
No, I actually have with my sink. There is like a designed the same size rack. I don't know how you call that thing. Like a rack that's 2/3 up from the bottom of the sink that I use only for Pesach. Right? So it's like only for Pesach. So I don't put anything in my sink. I literally, everything is like 2/3 up.
That's good. I mean, that's good. And cover all the walls and everything. And I'm saying an insert's even better, but if you have this rack, so nothing's getting anywhere near the floor or sides of the sink, that's good. That's what you want. Like it's Pesach. I mean, something we do, if it's feasible with your sink faucet, which it might or might not be, we change it and put on a new like aerator for Pesach. And some faucets nowadays are too fancy and you cannot do that. Some are simpler and you can. But in either case, with a new one, in other words, understand in our sinks, we're taking off and putting on a new end aerator piece for Passover. And then over that, so we wrap the faucet with cheesecloth, putting the tape very high up because you don't want the glue of the tape to get into your water. But putting the tape very high up, and we wrap the whole thing with cheesecloth. And then I change it at least once during Passover. What's the point?
Yeah.
The point is because we're terrified of chametz. And if there's
but cheesecloth has holes.
Well, I wrap it, I double it over several times, not just one time. I double it over several times that the water is being
why not to oil? Why not? I always done aluminum foil. I don't
know because the water has to go through it. I'm talking about the faucet, not in the sink, the faucet where the water is coming through.
Oh, okay. So the water is coming through your cheesecloth.
The water comes through the cheesecloth, exactly. Okay. So it's another layer of filter besides the new aerator that we put in for Pesach, for Passover. I have the cheesecloth, thank you, several layers of it that the water's going through, that in case, God forbid, there's something in that water that's coming from the city, and my aerator didn't catch it because it's smaller than that, it would get caught by the cheesecloth and it wouldn't go into the, and you could say, how far can you go? Who knows? You know, everybody does what they can do. But I was just actually giving that as an example in response to your question about like how terrified
Okay.
we are of
Okay,
hummus.
now I understand that cheesecloth goes where the water drips,
Exactly.
that part. What about the rest of the faucet and handle of the faucet? Do you
So I
wrap it in
cover all
laminate?
that. I cover it all with foil.
Right,
We
okay, so
kosher it.
that's just,
We
got it.
kosher it, and we cover it all with foil. And when
Got
we could, when it, again, depending on how your sink is, we take off that whole part and we put in one just for Passover.
Mhm.
Like in my original kitchen, I had two very cheap faucets, you know, handles and faucets. And I remember when I went to Home Depot and bought it, and the guy said to me, "Oh no, this is a piece of junk." I said, "Will it last a week?" He said, "A week it will last." I said, "Okay, that's all I need it for." And I bought two of them for my two sinks for Passover. And every year we would take out the whole faucet and handles and we would put the Passover one in. But when we changed our kitchen, you can't take it out anymore. So then we couldn't do that anymore. But if you could take it out, yeah, it's not expensive. I mean, relatively speaking, and it's a great enhancement.
Usually you giving like the most important, what is the most important advice, and like
The
you
most
I
important
remember
thing, okay, let's go.
you eat nuts.
Most important thing is to sell your chametz,
Uh-huh.
to make sure you sell your chametz like as soon as possible. Like don't wait for the last minute. The last minute would be sometime Tuesday, but Tuesday meaning not tomorrow in a week. Anyone that wants to sell their chametz can just send me a WhatsApp with their name, their husband's name, their address, if they have cars, the details of their cars, if they go to work and have any food or chametz items at work, all those details. And I'll give it to my husband who will sell it for you. So you must sell your chametz. That's a wonderful, wonderful concept that helps a lot. Next, also very important is trying to check the chametz Tuesday night. As I think we mentioned last year, if anyone's going away, if you're leaving your house before Tuesday night, you do not have to check there. You have to check where you're going to be for Passover. If you're going to a hotel program and they don't check in your room, you do need to check in your room. Wednesday, okay, really important for people that want to know the most important thing. Next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, in a week from this Wednesday, April 1st, you must finish eating all chametz, all leaven by 10:40. By 10:40 next Wednesday, that's the final deadline of eating any bread or cereal or cake or cookies or pizza or pasta or beer or anything that will be chametz, which is basically view everything in your kitchen as chametz. And then we have to burn the chametz and say the prayer, which is called kol chamira. It's a paragraph. You have to understand what you're saying. So if you're Hebrew and Aramaic, actually, kol chamira is in Aramaic. Your Aramaic is not so fluent, read it in English, read it in Russian. You must understand what you're saying. You are nullifying all leaven in your possession, and you must know what you're saying. So do it in a language you know. You have to burn your chametz and say that before 11:45. The times I'm giving are in Chicago. If anyone here is in another time place, meaning you're not in Chicago, you can be in the same time zone as Chicago, but you're in, I don't know, Indiana, ask me and I'll look up the times for you there. In Chicago, Wednesday, April 1st, we must finish all chametz that we're going to use by 10:40. We must burn it and say kol chamira before 11:45. The holiday begins Wednesday night with the blessings for the holiday in Shechianu. Most important thing for people that want it simple, matzah. Whatever version of a Seder you have, you want to eat at least a handmade round shmura matzah after 7:52 Wednesday night and after 7:52 Thursday night. Okay, so for some people, it's better the clock changed. For some people, it's harder the clock changed. But better or worse, the clock changed. So this is the time. So if on Wednesday night or Thursday night you had your Seder and you were finished before 7:30, it didn't count. You didn't have your Seder. But the most important part of the Seder is eating the matzah. And to fulfill the requirement, you want to eat a half of a round handmade shmura matzah after 7:52 Wednesday night and after 7:52 Thursday night. And the last most important thing, if you're going to listen to nothing else I say, because the rest is really all spiritual, do not use or eat or own or look at anything chametz, anything leaven until Thursday, April 9th, after 8:10 in the evening. The holiday ends Thursday, April 9th, 8:10 in the evening. So from when it comes in, a week from Wednesday, a week from this Wednesday night, through Thursday, April 9th after 8:10, no chametz. Chametz means anything leavened. Any food that's made of grain and water that's been allowed to ferment and rise, bread and cereal and cake and cookies and pizza and pasta and beer and alcoholic drinks. Those are all very blatant examples of chametz. But honestly, any food that contains grain or grain derivatives can be and often is chametz. Practically speaking, because we live in a world with almost everything we have is processed, any processed food that is not certified kosher for Passover could potentially include chametz ingredients. You can say, well, what in the world could be chametz in a can of peas? A lot of things, including, of course, actually the peas. All right. So that's the most basic essence information to know. Many other things to know, but if you want the most concise version of the story, that is my most concise version of the story. Now, before I continue with anything else I want to tell you, any questions?
I have a question.
Someone just asked me for Memphis, and I will look it up and let you know. Yes.
I have a question. Burning the chametz on Wednesday. If I'm at work, can I do it outside of the building?
Of
Or
course.
it has to be
And for
done
that
in
matter, you could do it in the morning before you go to work.
Okay. Okay.
It's not that you have to burn it at 11:30. You could burn it at 8 in the
anytime before.
morning. As long as the sun has already risen, you can burn it. No problem.
Can you tell me more about this process of burning? What's the safest way? How do you burn?
Well, the safest way to do it is to get like a metal can, you know, like a little metal bucket.
Yeah.
And to put it in the metal bucket, to get some like stick or something that you could smash it down, because you want to keep smashing it down, like to make sure it's burnt. Everything there is burnt. So you want like a nice like wooden pole or stick or something. We take lighter fluid. You know, you pour lighter fluid all over it, throw in a few matches, smash it down with your stick. It should flare up and burn out in minutes. And you just watch it. You make sure that you don't leave until there's not one, no fire left.
Can I do it outside of the house? Not
Always you do it
inside?
outside of the house. You never do it in your house.
Oh, okay.
If you did it in your house, you'd have all your walls full of smoke and it would ruin your walls.
Just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Never do it in your house. Sorry, I did not answer. I didn't even, you asked it and I didn't hear the question. Shows again my brain today. No, never do it in your house. You'll get smoke all over your beautiful walls. Do it outside. It's a very moving ceremony. Maybe just the way my husband does it, but it's always very moving because the idea really is you are like burning the leaven. The ultimate leaven is the evil inside of you. And we actually literally say that in the verses that we say when we're burning it, is like we really are burning out our own evil. That's the idea. As we're searching for the chametz, as we're cleaning, the whole idea, it's like, what was God thinking? He was thinking that he wants us to be clean. And as we clean our homes and as we search, as we're cleaning and as we search Tuesday night and as we find it and as we burn it Wednesday morning, it's really supposed to be an inner process of work, an inner process of burning this out. So it could be a very picturesque ceremony, but if you're just doing it yourself and you don't have the group support, you really understand this fire is symbolizing the burning out of the evils inside of me, the evils in the world. And as you're smashing it down and making sure the fire consumes everything, that's what you're supposed to be thinking. This is it. Eradicating leaven. Leaven is ego. Leaven is pride. Leaven is aggrandizement. Leaven is my evil inclination. Burning it all out.
This prayer that you mentioned, can you again repeat what is the name of the prayer?
The prayer is called Kol Hamira, which
Uh-huh.
means all leaven, because it's actually not Hebrew, it's actually Aramaic. And the reason it's Aramaic, which might sound very funny, is the prayer is in Aramaic because the sages want to make sure that everyone understand what they're saying. So if it's in Hebrew in the days of the sages, you have to be educated scholar to know Hebrew, but Aramaic, that was a language people spoke. So everyone understood Aramaic. And that's why I'm saying this would not be the prayer you say, okay, I'm going to practice my Hebrew reading on. This is a prayer you look at the translation, and the English translation, the Russian translation show exactly what you're saying. We say this prayer twice, actually. We say it after we conclude searching for the chametz, for the leaven Tuesday night, right? Tuesday, also very picturesque. You put out 10 pieces of bread. We are very careful because this is bread. This is the enemy. This is the incarnate of the enemy. So don't just like casually put 10 pieces of bread in the house that you just spent a week cleaning. We take the bread. We like to like freeze it so it's not crummy. You don't have to do that. We wrap it up very carefully in a napkin. We take the napkin and we tape that up so there's no fear of any crumbs coming out like after all your work. We do not hide it in places that we don't know exactly where it is. There's no like, oops, there's a piece of bread and we can't find it. No such stress. We know exactly where we hide the 10 pieces. And then you can buy a kit in like a, probably, of course, online today or in any Jewish store, in Jewel for sure, checking the chametz, Bedikas chametz kit, which has a wooden spoon and a feather and a candle and the bag. And you go around with the light of the candle. Again, this is all very symbolic. The light of the candle, because the candle is the soul, and the light of the candle is the light of the soul, and the light of the candle is a far better light than your electric lights, to check in every nook and cranny. The check is not supposed to be symbolic. The check is for real. If you're checking for real, it does take time because you literally are supposed to check everything. And do you find? In my house, we always find. However hard I clean, we're always going to find some comments. I always miss something for sure. And I accept this, and I have no problem that I missed something. It's good, guys. I left something for you to find, right? We find our 10 pieces first, put them in the bag, and then literally search the house. And then that bag you tie up with a string and you put it somewhere high where nobody's going to get to it and open it overnight. And the next morning, that's the bag you burn. Some people, when they separate challah, when they're baking challah and there's a piece you take off, I don't do this, but some people save it all year and then burn it with the chametz. Some people burn their lulav from Sukkot with the chametz, but you could just burn your chametz and just envision, there goes all the evil in the world up in flames. Envision all those missiles flying. Your fire is flying. The missiles are flying, burning out all evil in the world. We say this paragraph twice. You say the paragraph after the search, and you say the paragraph in the morning after the bread and anything else in that bag is burnt. The paragraph the night before is customary. It's appropriate.
Okay.
The paragraph
Yeah,
in
I
the
wasn't
morning
sure.
is essential. Meaning, if for some reason you don't want to say the paragraph twice, say it in the morning. That's when you must
Okay,
say
see, I
it.
didn't know
The
that.
paragraph
I
the
was
night before is a good idea, but in the morning is essential. So again, Fega asked for the core, and I gave that before we started the questions. And yes, if you're going to forget everything else, remember to sell your chametz. Remember to check Tuesday night and burn Wednesday before 11:45 in Chicago and saying that Kol Hamira prayer. Remember Wednesday night and Thursday night to eat at least half a matzah after 7:52. And remember that we abstain from chametz through Thursday, April 9th after 8:10. We have Wednesday night and Thursday night, the Seder. Seder means order. Everything has very great significance. The Seder has very distinct order. And bottom line, everything is about achieving personal transcendence. That's what this whole holiday is about, and especially the Seder. What we call freedom, emotional freedom, spiritual freedom. We have a Seder plate. Every item on that Seder plate represents a historical event and has its practical application. It has the body, it has the soul, and everything has meaning and relevance in our journey to freedom. You might know a lot. You might know a lot of details. You might not know that many. You might know a lot, but forget a lot. Remember the overarching concept. This is for freedom. This is for emotional freedom. This is for spiritual freedom. I might not know why we're doing everything we're doing. I mean, I learned, but I forgot. a lot of details, but understand the point. Somehow, as I go through the Seder, God is helping me achieve personal transcendence. The most significant item of the Seder, as we said, is matzah. Matzah is the most important aspect of the Seder. And that's why I said, when Vegas said, give me the thumbnail version, my thumbnail version was eat half a matzah after 7:52. What? That's the Seder? There's all these steps, and there's even the 4 cups of wine. You skip that. They're all wonderful. They're all important. They're all significant. But there's nothing as important as the matzah. Matzah is food of faith, meaning when you eat matzah, throughout the entire Passover, you are eating faith. I personally, and I generally don't eat bread at all, just from Shabbos to Shabbos, so to speak. But every day of Passover, I make sure I eat matzah because it's the food of faith. I'm eating faith, especially at the Seder, and especially the first Seder. The first night of Passover, Wednesday night, that matzah is the strongest food of faith of the entire Passover. The second night of Passover, the second Seder, that matzah is food of faith, but even more strongly, it's food of healing. So the first night, we should be very focused on we're ingesting faith in God. And the second night, we should be very focused, we're ingesting healing. Now, we eat matzah 3 times by the Seder if you're doing all the steps of the Seder. As I said, if your abridged version is you eat half a matzah after 7:52, I'm very happy and grateful you're doing that. If you go through all the steps of the Seder, you eat the matzah 3 times. You eat the matzah alone, you eat the matzah in the Hillel sandwich, and then you eat the matzah after the meal, the matzah of the afikomen. All 3 times, stay focused. Stay focused. I'm literally eating and digesting faith. And the second night, I'm literally eating and digesting healing. All of the matzah of Seder is mega spiritually significant, but the most important one, if you're doing it really right and eating it 3 times, is the last time, the matzah of the afikomen. The matzah of the afikomen has the highest spiritual power. So especially when you eat the afikomen, which is really the most difficult time, because when you taste the matzah the first time, you're so focused, you're eating matzah, especially the first night. I mean, you haven't eaten matzah like this for a year. And you eat the Hillel sandwich, you're also, pretty focused. By the time the afikomen comes, you're tired, you heated up a meal, served a meal, cleaned up from a meal, it's late. Focus. Don't lose the opportunity. It's a very enormous opportunity to ingest faith. You are literally eating and digesting faith. Our custom, if you have any babies in your family, is to save the afikomen matzah, save a piece for that afikomen matzah as the first food to feed the baby. The first food we want a Jewish child to eat is faith in God. You're saying, I don't know, maybe there'll be a baby in the upcoming year. I don't know. Oh, so save a little piece of the matzah, you use it or you don't use it. This faith is really representing the faith of 3 million people that went into a desert just with matzah, right? Us. That was us. We're all reincarnations of those people. It's not just our ancestors. It's literally us in a previous lifetime. We went into a desert, no food in a desert, no pit stops, no rest stops, no oases. We went into a desert with matzah. We went into a desert with absolute trust that God would provide. And he did. He gave us 40 years of manna. Manna is the food of the angels. We're told by the complete revelation of the redemption of Mashiach, we're going to have this massive feast, and the dessert will be the manna, right? So we're going to be eating it then. That's nice. That's the dessert. It all started out with matzah. Matzah represents faith. Matzah represents freedom, because the key to freedom is humility. When you're humble, when you're nullified, you're not manipulated by subjective emotions. Matzah is flat. Matzah, honestly, is tasteless. It's supposed to be tasteless. It's expressing our absolute nullification. And this might be surprising, but absolute nullification is the key to freedom. That first night of Passover, a week from Wednesday night, is called Leil Shimurim. Leil Shimurim means the night of protection. It's the night God is guarding us. That night, by the Seder, by both Seders, but almost especially that first night, we have the step, right after the meal. We had our matzah, we had our maror, we had our matzah and maror together sandwich, our Hillel sandwich. We had our feast. We had more matzah, the afikomen. We said the blessing after the meal. We pour our next cup of wine and we go and we open the door for Elijah, right? That is a very, very special moment. Obviously, you can see I'm skipping a lot, but I wanted to, like Vega said, I wanted to get to a few important details. She's right. I wanted to hit on a few main points here. That is such a meaningful moment of the Seder. When you open that door with confidence and trust that literally Elijah is coming. Because we're told he literally comes. He literally comes to every Seder. It's a night of protection. It's a night of Elijah coming. And just like the first Passover in our history, when we were liberated, why were we liberated? We were liberated because of our trust. Also now, when we open up that door and we know Elijah is there, we have such trust in God, such confidence that to create this liberation. And of course, everyone doesn't have to go to the door. Traditionally, children go. Everyone can go. I always go. And what do we say when that door is opened? We say a prayer, pour out your wrath on the enemies. Pour out your wrath on all those that are the haters of God and the Jewish people. We can have a lot of intention when we say that this year, that we live in very significant times. And this moment is a very significant moment of the Seder. Elijah is literally coming. And it's a moment when we're told we can ask. Now we are asking, we're saying a prayer. Shvo chamascha, pour out your wrath on these enemies, on these haters, on these people that want to harm us. That is what we are asking universally. All Jewish people, not just in 2026 with the war going on in Iran and missiles falling on Israel. Every year we ask that we're always asking. But we can also ask personally. The fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rebbe Rashab, told his son, who would be the sixth Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rebbe Rayatz, he said, ask wisely. Don't waste the opportunity, because it's an incredible opportunity to ask. That's a very interesting concept I'm sharing, because Elijah is there. This is a Lubavitcher Rebbe talking. This is a leader of world Jewry talk. So when the Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Rebbe is telling his son, who will be the sixth Rebbe, ask wisely, that means this is real deal. Real deal, Elijah is there. Real deal, he's hearing your requests. So ask wisely. I'm sharing this with all of us. I always ask. I hope I ask wisely. It's a wonderful opportunity to ask. And because you might be a little tired and a lot of things are going on, maybe in advance you want to think, wow, I have this opportunity to literally ask Elijah. He's coming. He's listening. I'm asking for the destruction of Iran. Yeah, that's in the script. Pour out your wrath on the enemies. What else do I want to ask? Let me ask wisely. What do we do after that? After that, we offer praise to God. We have to praise to God for his mercy, for his compassion in redeeming us, and in anticipation of the ultimate redemption, Mashiach, coming now. You could say, why does God need my praise? Does God need my praise? God doesn't need my praise. We need to praise God. Meaning, as we praise God, and notice I'm jumping all the way to the end of Seder, because I'm sure the beginning explanations you might have heard many times, and a lot of times people never get to the end, so I thought it wise to focus on these points. Kabbalistically, it's explained that when we praise God for his kindness, we reveal his compassion. So as we are praising God, which is really the second half of the Seder. Now, the second half of the Seder goes a lot faster than the first, because the first people talk more. Basically, you have the ritual steps. You have reading the first half. You have the matzah and the maror and the sandwich and the meal and the afikomen and the blessing afterwards and pouring the last cup of wine, because you drank a cup of wine, then you pour a cup of wine, then you go and open the door for Elijah. You ask him everything you're thinking of. And then for the rest of the Seder, you are praising God, because we want to reveal God's compassion. We just ask Elijah. I mean, obviously Elijah is not an independent agent here. We're asking God through Elijah for significant things. And now we want God's compassion to be shining. So as we praise his kindness, his compassion is shining as well. And really, what we're sort of saying to God is, we did everything in our power to achieve freedom. We did all the ritualized steps of the Seder. We did it all, perhaps. And then what do we do at the end? We praise you, which really means we're surrendering. We're placing ourselves in God's hands. We're sort of surrendering to God to complete whatever we can't do on our own. We want freedom. The entire Seder is designed for us to achieve freedom. And we did everything we could. And maybe we didn't get there. But as we say praise to God, we're really saying, God, we're surrendering to your hands. Please complete our work. Please gift us with the freedom that we work so hard to achieve. If you're envisioning your Seder and you're trying hard, you're doing everything as focused as you can. And at the end, you're saying to God, I tried. Now please finish it off. Carry me the rest of the way. How does this make you feel? Envisioning this is the message you're giving God at the end of all your hard work.
I think it's giving like the message of after all the hard work I've done, like this feeling of I just want to cleave to God. I don't want to let go of God. I just want to cleave because I feel so connected with all the effort you do, because everything that you work towards and every effort, it comes down that it's all worth it.
I hear that. Anyone else? Any other feeling?
I want to say just very short. I feel so blessed this Passover. I wanted to make it all great, clean, and nice. And because God did so many miracles for me that I can compare them to when Jewish people got out from Egypt. So it's been so many miracles for me personally. And I wanted to give back.
That's such a beautiful perspective. That's such a beautiful way of saying, like, sort of like, God, I've been through my exodus. I've been through the slavery. I've done the enslavement. I've done the Egypt was called the smelting pot. I'm burning out our impurities because it was hard. And God, I did that. And I'm so grateful we're out. I'm so grateful now we're walking in our freedom and we want to give you thanks. And I think that's actually a beautiful intention, because each one of us in our own way might be able to sort of look back and think of like, yeah, I'm saying we're creating our freedom, and you're saying, hey, God, I achieved a lot of freedom. And I want my intention to be thanking you for the freedom I've achieved. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think people could have both. They could be so grateful for all the freedoms they've achieved, and they could still be cognizant of the freedoms they still need to access, and really grateful and confident, because to me, that last thought that you're giving it over to God, to me is a sense of like, yeah, I'm doing my utmost, but then I can sort of relax, if you will. Surrender to me is like almost like relaxing and knowing, God, I'm limited. I tried my best. My best did or did not achieve what it was supposed to achieve, but you, God, are limitless. And I know you're going to carry me the rest of the way. Our remaining minutes, I just wanted to give over this one idea. Probably, now you see, I went to the end, that part we don't normally talk about, and now I'm going to go back to the beginning of our recitation of the praises to God, what we call the Magid, telling the story, which is, of course, very central to the Seder, telling the story. And probably the most central part of telling the story is the 4 questions. Well, we all might know those 4 questions. Maybe we might not know the answers, but we probably know the question. In Chabad, the order is we first question the dipping, then the matzah, then the maror, and then the leaning. And it's sort of like, that's a sort of interesting order. Other people have different orders, but Chabad is dip, matzah, maror, lean, which isn't the order of importance. Obviously, the most important thing is the matzah, so that will come first. It's not the order of how it happens. The first thing that happens from that is leaning. So what's the order of dipping, the matzah, then maror, then leaning? Rebbe has a beautiful talk, which I'm going to say briefly. Matzah is a biblical commandment. Maror currently is a rabbinic commandment. Originally, it's biblical, but now, because we don't have the Paschal offering, it's rabbinic. Leaning, we lean to express freedom. So that's like an auxiliary of the matzah. So it's still considered part of the commandment of the matzah. Dipping is a custom. Now, in order of appearance in the Seder, dipping is last, because the main dip is the maror in the charoses. The leaning, of course, comes first, because we lean already by the kiddush. So why are we putting this here? Why are we first talking about dipping, which is the last thing, and it's only a custom? And the Rebbe says, and I just think this is such a beautiful thing to remember, which is why from all the things I know, I decided to share this. The Rebbe says, there's nothing random. Our sages are teaching us a very powerful lesson. Because some people feel, well, anything biblical, that I got to do. And rabbinic is important and a custom. I mean, if it's easy, why not? But if it's difficult, it's just a custom. And if you're educating a child, I mean, you're going to stick to the basics and you might drop the other stuff. You don't want to overwhelm the child. And our sages in this order of dipping and then matzah and then maror and then leaning are telling us the first thing a child notices, the color and flavor of Judaism, is the customs, right? It's just a custom. Customs is what grabs the eyes of people, especially children. Like the dancing, the kafus and sukkahs, is a custom. The special Hoshana Rabbah beating of those 5 willows, it's a custom. Simchat Torah, the dancing of the Torah, is a custom. Dairy on Shavuos is a custom. Upsharing is a custom. Eating fruits on the 15th of Shvat is a custom. Going to the water, Tashlech Rosh Hashanah, is a custom. With the chicken or the money, kaparos before Yom Kippur is a custom. Wearing white on Yom Kippur is a custom. So many customs. I could go on and on and on. The bride going around the groom 7 times is a custom. Giving money on Hanukkah is a custom. Not learning on the eve of the 25th of December is a custom. So many customs. So many, many, many customs, and more 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 I could list for you. All customs are giving us the flavor and color of Judaism. And if you would educate a child, or if you would educate yourself without customs, meaning, what would that look like, a Judaism without customs? It would mean you're going to look and dress and talk and live pretty similar to the world around you. But you do the basic commandments and you don't feel different than the world around you. And then what you do sort of becomes cold. And if it's cold, it's hard to maintain it. We're told that the customs of Torah are Torah. The customs of the Jewish people are Torah. Because a person isn't supposed to weigh and evaluate and say, oh, this isn't so important. I could be lenient. It's only a custom. This is a foundation. This is the foundation of Judaism, because foundation of Judaism might not sound like what you want to hear is the foundation of Judaism. But the foundation of Judaism is to know we're different, to know we're a Jew. And to be a Jew is to be different. And it's really, really important to absorb that. And sometimes you sort of want to say, no, I'm a Jew and I'm just like everyone else, but I'm also a Jew. No. Judaism means I'm not at all like everyone else. I'm different than everyone else. I'm a Jew. That's foundational. Everything else you build on that. And this feeling that we're different in a positive way, that we're God's people, this feeling we get from the custom sort of throws it in your face. The customs impact the world of emotion, the world of feeling. And especially the feeling that we're chosen, which is a very, very Passover-oriented message. Just like then we got out of Egypt, we were different, God took us out. Also now, we're getting out, we're different. We are getting out of Egypt, we're getting out of the cosmic Egypt, and every Passover we want to get out of our personal Egypt as well. I know it's a little late, but if you maybe think about this, maybe we don't have time to discuss it, but really to think, what has given you that sense that you're different than the rest of the world, that you're a Jew? Now, of course, you can say, and I know people have shared in this class, well, growing up in Russia, there was a lot of people that in a very negative way gave me a sense I was different, but we want it to be in a positive way. The minhag is a very positive feeling of, I'm different. And this is a very critical feeling. It's very critical that we know in a very positive way, in a very blessed way, in a very grateful to God way, we're different than the rest of the world around us. Thank you, God, we're a Jew. And that feeling helps us that when we serve God, we serve with joy. You know, joy is foundational to our service. We're actually told that if we serve without joy, it's almost like we didn't serve at all. Now, why is joy so important? I mean, of course, it's nice to be happy, but why is it so important? Basically because joy shows I get it. What I'm doing is so important. What I'm doing is so precious. If what you're doing is important and precious, you're happy to do it. So if I know I'm different, if I know I'm chosen, if I know I'm not like the rest of the world, not because I'm under, but because God chose us, he lifted us up over, and then it's so special, that service. And then my service can be with joy.